Oops. That's better. Hey, yeah, all right, fantastic. Good to see you guys. Okay, so I decided to just turn up for a little bit, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll let you guys be as usual. If yeah, questions about the bit final, yeah, you can ask them now if you want, because I don't have to come next week. However, here's the cool thing. Because I promised the two B students this. Is it possible? Okay, your final is on the Thursday. Okay, all right. So if I maybe for Saturday or Sunday. Yeah. Well, if you want to do so I want it to next week. But if you want to organize a meeting for Saturday or Sunday, I'm happy to organize that through Zoom. And you can ask me about your grade. I should be done by then, right? So the final is on Thursday. So you can ask me about your grade and I'll be happy to. But you got to be brave enough to ask me about your grade on screen here. If you do, I'll be happy to share whatever I have at that point. I should be able to have a pretty good idea of what I will be entering for you on Monday. Because I'll have the final scores, I'll have all the quest scores. I would have already had a chance to review your work by then. So yeah, cool. So I can do that for sure. All right, but think about it. You don't have to. You can always wait for Foothill to release the grades to you. Yeah, I think it'll happen in just a couple of weeks from now. But if you're impatient and still want to catch up with all of you guys and say bye-bye, so you're welcome to organize a meeting over the Saturday or Sunday. Because Friday, I would have said Friday, but I kind of promised my 2B students that I'll get their grades done by Friday. So I'll be working on that first. So I won't be doing yours until after that. So yeah, I'll do that. And how many of you have finished all 9 quests? I think quite a few of you have popped all 9. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I thought. Hey, where's Benjamin? Oh, you typed into chat. Oh, I see. Okay, you typed into chat and then you were on, here. Yeah, you can also just feel free to talk. Okay, you guys, all of you can just feel free to talk. Yeah, if you finished all the 9 quests and after the final exam, instead of wasting your time playing Fortnite, well, not necessarily, but it's possible. It's possible for a lot of activities to just creep into your life. And before you know it, your summer is gone, but you don't have anything to show for it. Yeah, you had some good fun, but you'll have good fun all through your life, right? So you can't say, right? So, but this is a great opportunity for you to learn because you have everything else taken care of for you. It's always harder to learn later on, but very much later on, when you're all set in life, you can keep learning as much as you want. When you're very early in life, when your parents and you have your network and your social things all set up so that you're taken care of in other ways, then again, you can focus on learning and learn. But between the two, when you're working or you have a family and you have responsibilities and other people to worry about, you can't really be learning, you can be learning on the fringe, but not really deep learning. So now and after you retire are the 2 best times. I do not retire, but after you're secure in all ways, you can be an independent thinker, okay, free thinker. Then you'd be able to set up again to learn. But until between the two, you're really a prisoner in many ways. You can't really be free to dive into. But now is a good opportunity. So, all right. So where I'm going with all this is that after the final, those of you who completed all 9 quests, if you want to progress in a supportive environment just like this, maybe much better than this, maybe it can get much better than that, because I look at the forum posts and it's incredible, right? So someone asks a question and then Blake answers this out of the corner and someone else, everyone chiming in. This incredible sense of community. And so if you guys want to just take this with you and have more people join you, right? More people join, because there's already people in the Genius Bootcamp. So they're already there, they're working, and some of them are students at various colleges and internationally too. So they'll all join you. There'll be a supportive community just like that. It is called a Genius Bootcamp. Okay. And by the way, it is a brainchild of one of your seniors, not one, a bunch of your senior students in CS2B last quarter, and then CS2C before that. So just a few weeks ago, the beginning of July, the idea occurred to me as I was on a bus from Foothill to home over the Dumbarton Bridge, and then we talked about the with my 2B students who were interested in this, and the 2C guy, and I just hired them as interns at Nonlinear Media, and they created this thing, right? This Genius Bootcamp. It's a boot camp for people who want to solve interesting puzzles using C++ as a medium, right? Some people say, I won't do it because it's C++ and not Java. Why? It's just computer science. At the end of the day, it's all the same. Whether it's English, it doesn't matter. And because it is C++, we actually take you all the way from hello world, right? So hand holding until in 2B, you're let loose and say, okay, now you have the community behind you. You can do stuff on your own. So you can progress through 2B and also 2C, which would be a completely different kind of beast. But if you conquer 2C, you're pretty much set, okay? You can just go with your eyes closed into, high-tech interviews, and you'll be confident, right? Because like I said before, most at high-tech interviews, they're not, or at least the ones that I've done, I'm not looking for people that know solutions. I'm always looking for people who can think about the problem in the right way, right? Even if they don't find the solution. So, but by the time you're complete with, done all the red, you'll have enough exposure to different kinds of problems and different ways of thinking about these things, so that you encounter a new solution thrown on a whiteboard all of a sudden by someone. Immediately you can match. Say, well, there's 75 different ways in which that problem can be attacked, and I've done all of them. So let me see if one of them works. And your mind is actually frantically firing, even though you don't want it, saying, hey, I know something here, right? What is it? Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? Is it that? And you just latch on, bam, like that, okay? But then the process of arriving at that solution, that is what is interesting to an interviewer. Not after you got the solution, okay, now let's just button up all the, cross all the I's and T's. That's actually getting code down on the whiteboard.
So you said that CS2B is not really, it's different from CS2A.
It's very different from CS2A in terms of the,
Like on how it's done.
no, it's exactly the same in terms of how it's just after you complete the 9th blue quest, you get the password to the first green quest.
You said it's more like problem solving sort of thing, instead of just figuring
Oh,
out.
in terms of the content, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of the content, so the way I look at it, and different people look at it different way. CS2A is training in just the mechanics of things, how things just are put together, the syntax of things. So it's just a lot of memory. It's learning, oh, the spanner does this, a wrench does this, right? It's just learning all the tools of the trade. CS2B is where you take the tools and try to build stuff with the tools. That's different, isn't it? Now you already know how to do the tools and you're familiar with it. Now you're going to say, all right, now I know how these constructs work, but can I use these constructs to create this more complex thing in virtual space, right? A structure in which there's links like this, bam, and those links are like, right, a tree or a graph. And if I do have a structure like that, can I use my knowledge of for loops, while loops, and all these things to figure out a way in which I can intelligently touch all of the nodes of the tree exactly once without actually overlapping anything? Yeah, so all of those are interesting problems, isn't it? So so you'll start looking at different ways in which complex structures can be put together using the mechanics you learn in 2A. That's why I don't think that 2A, 2B, or 2C are courses by themselves, okay? 2A, 2B, 2C is one course. Because in 2A, you learn the mechanics, how the tools, what are the tools? In 2B, you get to say, I'm going to use these tools to build things on my own. And 2C is again different, because it is not, you are in 2C, you're dealing with, I have the tools and I have the different kinds of structures I can build with them. But here are some real problems, some interesting problems. Some of them are real world problems. Some of them are just aesthetic, interesting problems. Yeah. Is there some prime number matching certain criteria, whatever. Yeah. And so it's just interesting problems. And you say, well, it's very interesting. And I don't know if I can come up with an analytical solution for it. I can just prove it, all right, integrate this and you got the solution, bam, like that. So I can't do that. However, if you follow this procedure n times, you will see that each time it gets closer and closer to your desired configuration, so that you can narrow the error, and then you can stop whenever you're ready. Yeah, so that kind of thing is computational thinking. And so that is what CS2C is about. Saying, what are the kinds of problems that cannot be solved by traditional analytical means, but you can solve iteratively? As a whole family of interesting problems like that. And the goal of 2C, again, is not to, or the Red Quest in the Genius Bootcamp, is not to introduce you to all the different problems and solutions, okay? That is not the goal of any teacher in the world. To say, well, because if you look at all the individual solutions and say, all right, these are the solutions for 5,000 different problems, you memorize them, totally no use. I can get, ChatGPT to do that too, yeah? Or, some kind of memory-based system. But what we want is to say, here is a big problem, and here's 5,000 different ways of looking at it. But then between the two different ways, there's a whole lot of things that you didn't look at, right? Because you only got 5,000 perspectives. But now use your intelligence, because that is in you already, to construct an extrapolated 3D view of the object only when you only got 3,000 different views of it. So it is not a question of how many different problems you solve. It happens at different times for different people, depending on the amount of mental cycles you have, depending on the amount of social commitments and other things that you have on your life. It just happens at different times. As soon as you have a certain critical number of exposures to problem solving, your mind automatically, because of inherent laziness, that is my theory, okay? Some, psychologists or physicists can test it out later, okay? My theory is that inherent laziness says, I don't want to keep doing this again and again. I just want to figure out a simpler way to do this so I can just do it without having to do a lot of work. Okay, so it just factors things out and says, well, this is the same kind of problem. I'm just solving it in different ways. So I just need to figure out this common thing that can apply to everything. And when that happens, you just get a 3D view. Not a 3D view, it's a next dimensional view of the problem, where you say, I don't need individual solutions anymore. Because I have a problem, no matter where you put me in space, I have a way to navigate to it. Right, so you get an integrated view of the whole problem instead of many, many discrete points. So you just fill in the continua between the lattice points. Mathematically, I think, I don't know if mathematicians say that, but so I think that is what the entire series will equip you with. I don't think that 2A, 2B, 2C series, 2C, unfortunately, I'm not offering it at Foothill anymore, but when I did, I don't think there's any other course in the whole world that does this kind of thing, right? Takes you all the way from 2A to 2C, the same kind of quests, in a kind of, in a kind of engaging and a supportive atmosphere when teachers are there, but they're in the back seat, and the students are, in the front seat and center stage. They're helping each other, right? And I look at these posts, and many times someone asks a question, Mason asks a question, or and then Cindy and Justin and all these people just jumping in with these incredible explanations that sometimes I think this has to take me like 5 hours of coming up with a good answer, because I can do better than that. And so it's all very nice to see. And you don't see this in random classes out there. It's very hard to come across a class. So I think personally, in my experience as a teacher, in my experience as having managed software engineers out there, right, as a computer scientist too, I think there's something unique about this. You guys need to preserve it. And maybe some of this will go off into this boot camp where you guys can basically just keep it going with the seniors teaching the juniors, and the sense of community, where computer science really is not a solo field. Even though a lot of computer science is solo in the sense you're thinking about a problem and so on and so forth, at the end of the day, it's not solo. It's like just any other intellectual activity, right? You come up with a solution, you want to discuss it with other people who are equally intelligent as you, and say, that's a brilliant solution, right? And then the combined appreciation of something that is not intuitive, but yes, yet has this aesthetic thing to it, right? There's some solutions. That is what pleases mathematicians, computer scientists, any artist, for example, right? Someone who sees something in a picture that nobody else sees, and other people also see the same thing. So that sense of thing is, I think it is just common humanity, really, right? But so that is there in any science, but computer science especially, because it's so cheap, no equipment, anyone can do it in their minds, just like mathematics. But even mathematics is getting, I think computer science is heydays, right? It's not yet got that stage where lots of people can get in, have that great experience without having to. So this is a great opportunity. Just do that. Register for the bootcamp. It's non-linear. No, it is genius.nonlinearmedia.org. Instead of Quest, you have got to say Genius. Genius.nonlinearmedia.org, and then you got to send the email and name and email, and you just continue to Quest at your own pace. No pressure at all. Just at your own pace. If you're too fast, you would go on to a group that is working on advanced problems, the next quest. If you're too slow, you can just let this move on and say, well, you know what, I need to go to my cousin's wedding and I come back, right? And you've missed that batch, that's gone. So you can join with the next batch and continue with where you left off, but except with new people working alongside you, right? So it's very flexible and free form, no time limit, no money, it's free. And it's no money because it's also no very little effort from the instructor's point of view. In fact, the interns are pretty much running this. And all they have to do is basically just maintain the communication. For most of it is on the Reddit, obviously, just like now, but they have whatever is left of it. They did the workbook and all. So yeah, and so in fact, you guys should pretty much pile in and say, you know what, let's just keep this going. Because I'll probably be done with questing and everything by in a few quarters. When I retire, I'm not planning to offer this anymore. However, I was thinking I'll shut down questing at that time. But now I'm thinking if the bootcamp takes off, I'll just give set it up so that it'll just be there. and the interns or the bunch of people can just keep running this, seniors helping juniors. And when they move, they help their juniors. And it's just like this self-sustaining cycle of intelligent people having a good forum to get together and talk about interesting problems and just brainstorm like you're doing now. Just continue all the way through and through all the interesting problems so that when the insight happens, finally, close to the end of red, you'll feel it. You'll actually feel it. Just say, wow, okay, now I know how this damn thing works. Not just one problem, many of these problems. So, and I think it happens for many people, but closer to the end of red, you'll actually be able to see it, share that with many of your community in that you build during this course. Yeah, so I think you'll have fun. You'll have fun. Right, so I don't mean to take up much of your time. There's a whole bunch of questions in chat. So yeah, sorry about that. I had a question for quest 9. I'm kind of confused on the asterisk. I don't know. All right, so I don't think that's a question for me. Okay. So it was to everyone, not for me. Okay, Stephanie. All right. So yeah, I'm taking up too much of your time. Okay. So if you don't have any questions for me, I'll just take off. Thank you very much. I won't attend the meeting next week, but on a Saturday or Sunday or even a Monday after that, let me know if you want a meeting to talk about your grades.
I had 2 questions.
Yeah, sure, Sakib, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just so for the final, just want to clear stuff up. Is it going to be like similar to the midterm where you're like
exactly the same? Yeah, 2B students, they also asked me the same thing. Yeah, it's going to be exactly the same as the midterm. Just the question bank is going to be different, but other than the question bank, the mechanism exactly the same.
So like the same study idea of like looking at the modules, I believe like
yeah, totally.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, in the modules, you'll find many algorithms that are not in the quests. Yeah, like sorting and all. Yeah, those are important too.
I have a question as well.
Yeah, Liam, go ahead.
Know what the like percentages of like if you submit the quest late?
Hey, Liam, you've been working all along. I see you're working hard on the quest. You don't have to worry, okay? So really, all of these things are there just to make sure that if someone just disappears and comes back all of a sudden and says, I'm gonna pile through all the quests in a week, then I can just say, no way, you're not getting any credit for any of it. But people who've just been doing a sincere effort and putting a lot of effort, work in, trying to learn and asking questions, I don't think you have anything to worry.
Okay, sure.
No other questions? Okay. Yeah, best of luck. Okay. So I'll send you guys email, a canvas message or something, wishing you best of luck before the final, just to remind you, because I had people forget. But otherwise, I'll see you guys later. All right. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
I got to assign someone. Benjamin, can you be the host?
Sure. So like, does anybody have any questions for?
I'm curious about the trophy count. So on my trophy totals page, I have like a dip in trophy count for an elephant who remembers. Is that because I missed trophies, or is there just less total trophies?
Wait, how many trophies do you have?
For an elephant, I have 20 trophies.
No, just in total, how many do you have?
Oh, in total, I only have 181.
Oh, okay. An elephant, I'm not sure. I don't remember the breakdown for each one, but I believe it got to 191. I don't know if that's the maximum, but did you make sure that all your mini quests are tagged? Do you have like parade for all the mini quests? They seem much of an issue.
Want to see if I can pinpoint the exact quest.
Yeah, for sure.
So I will check that.
I'm pretty sure I read on Reddit somewhere that Elephant had 20 trophies because there's this link I can post it in the chat where it says the trophy count for all the quests is 1, 14, 14. The fourth one is 24. The fifth one is 33. The sixth one is 26. The seventh one is 26. The eighth one is 20, and the ninth one is 33.
Oh, the ninth one is 33. Wait. Alright, well, I now know that I'm missing some trophies on ninth one, as well as the fifth. Thanks.
Also, speaking of which, for the linked list in Quest 9,
Yeah.
it's kind of odd for some. When I construct the linked list, right, the Sentinel node turns essentially it's a head node because you can't insert any node in front of the head because basically the node inserting functions always work on the. You always take the reference to the previous node, right?
Mhm.
And because no node points to head, and therefore you can't modify the head node in any way. Are you guys following on this?
Yeah.
So the thing with the head node, or like the node that head is linking to, it's the Sentinel node, and it's an internal thing that we don't want the user to see because it's an implementation detail. So the first node that actually exists would be the one pointed to by head, which may be null if the list is empty.
Wait, isn't the head node the Sentinel? Well, that's what's written in the document. Yeah,
Okay, I might have read it wrong. Okay, no, it's like when I see like implementations, it's usually the tail node that's the Sentinel, which is why I got a little bit confused.
Yeah, it's weird, but no, head is a node. I'm pretty sure it's just not used. We don't show any data.
Yeah.
It's just there for a placeholder, just to like make it easier to do stuff with the list. But it is a node. It's just the first actual node with data is whatever head is pointed to.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just easier to implement the list with the head node that the user doesn't see because we don't need actual objects.
Okay.
All right. If no one has any other questions, I think I'm gonna cut out. So, so it's on.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, good night.